Hello and welcome to Talk to Experts Tuesday. Today's topic is Qlik Compose. My name is Sue Macaluso and I'm the Senior Community Specialist here at Qlik. With me I have Jamie Gregory and a team of panelists that you can see standing by to answer your questions live. Before we begin, I'm just going to turn the call over to Jamie. She will introduce you to the panelists and just go over some housekeeping so you'll know what to expect from our live chat. So without further ado, Jamie, take it away.
Great, thanks, Sue. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk to Experts Tuesday. We are so thrilled to have you all here. This webinar series was designed to give you all an hour with a few of our product experts. You can use this time to ask questions about the topic at hand, which today is Qlik Compose. And it also gives you an opportunity to get to know us. So we do have a few housekeeping items for today. Everyone is muted, so please use the Q&A panel to ask your questions. We won't necessarily be responding back via this panel. We're going to try to get to everyone's questions live today, but we do ask that you use that Q&A panel as opposed to the chat function. If we don't get to your question today, or it's something that may take a little time to research, it will be posted in the Qlik community along with the recording, and I will show you all where that is in a little bit. If you hopped on to get your question answered and then you have to go, that's totally fine. You should be prompted for a survey. Please take a minute to fill that out and give us feedback. Any and all feedback is appreciated, of course. If you're not prompted, you can email us any feedback that you may have about the session at digital@qlik.com, and I'll put that email address in the chat in a little bit. Also, you will see a QR code on the slides for today, and that QR code will link to the registration page for our next session. So please keep in mind that even though some of our panelists are within Qlik support, they will not be able to answer any questions regarding a specific case. And we also, of course, ask you to keep the questions related to the topic at hand. So if you're unfamiliar, Qlik Compose is one of our data integration tools that accelerates and simplifies data warehouse design, development, testing, deployment, and updates. So again, use the Q&A panel below to get your questions in. While we wait for you to enter in your questions, I'll go ahead and introduce our panel for today. So joining me, and I apologize if I butcher your names, Nanda Ravindra, Customer Support Engineer, Madhavi Kanda, Technical Support Engineer, and Suresh Pulagam, Data Integration Expert. We did have a product manager lined up for today's call. Unfortunately, he is feeling under the weather. He could not make it. So we do ask that you still get your questions in for him, and we'll forward them on to him, and he can answer them at a later time, and we'll put them in the FAQ. So without further ado, Nanda, if you'll go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi there. Again, my name is Nanda, and I mainly focus on Compose and Compose for data warehouse and Compose for data lakes. And I'm based out of Maryland, and I'm here to take your question and answer them at my best.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. How about you, Madhavi? Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied.
Hi, this is Madhavi Kunda. I have recently joined Qlik. I'm mainly working on Qlik Compose and Qlik Replicate products. Yeah, here I'm ready to take your questions and answer. Yeah.
Perfect. And Suresh.
Hi, this is Suresh Pulagam. I'm part of the SME team, and I do support Qlik Replicate and Qlik Compose, and we usually closely work with customers as well as R&D team to provide best support. So yeah, we are here to answer your questions.
Great, thank you. So just a reminder again today, everyone use the Q&A panel, get your questions in. We have our experts on hand for you, so let's go ahead and get started. And so our first question is, how do I integrate Qlik Compose for data warehouses version 7.x with Git repo and Azure DevOps with Azure credentials and authentication?
Yeah, currently we don't have any option in Compose. We have only, if they want to integrate with GitHub, and they can use normal credentials like username and password, and they can integrate. But if they want to integrate with Azure security authentication, as of today, we don't have any option. So I think they need to create a, they need to raise a idea on community portal. So PM will take care of it. I mean, that too based on other customer requests, they will prioritize it.
Okay.
Yeah, just to add to Suresh's comments, yeah, please do open an ideation. So this would help prioritize project management to see how best we can get the demands addressed. So we really highly recommend you, if this is something important, to please create an ideation so the project management gets to take a look at it and prioritize the request.
I agree with that. Sue, can I go ahead and share my screen really quick? Great. So the ideas forum is out here on the Qlik community. And if you go up here to ideation, you can click on that. You can also go here to suggest an idea. And you can search for ideas to see if the idea already exists. And if it doesn't, you can go ahead and add your idea. Also, I would just recommend taking a look at this. You can filter out the ideas by topic, and you can just kind of see what's already out there. And maybe if it's something that you would like to see or you agree with it, you can just leave a comment or give it a like, and that will help boost it up for the product managers to know that that's something that you're looking for. All right.
I see a question
Yeah.
from Paul.
Sure.
I think if
You want me to read the first
out,
one?
yeah,
I'll read it. I can read it. What is the approved version numbering system for Qlik Compose for data warehouses? It's confusing with February 2021 and November 2020 release in setup guide documentation, but then release numbers for service packs. So it's unclear if the setup guide help documentation is related to a service pack.
Okay, so basically, okay, you want to answer, Nanda?
No, go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead. I'll add on if I.
Okay, so basically, I mean, before we merged with Qlik, it's a Unity product, right? So we used to have numbers like 5.5, 6 dot, I mean 6.x or 7.x, but starting from November, so we are following this release numbers like based on the month and year. We are going to specify the version release, and then there is a build number for each service pack. So that is how we are going to differentiate for service packs. And coming to this November 2020 and February 2021, the difference between these two are like November 2020 is just a compose for data warehouses. I mean, that's one product, but in February 2021 version, we merged two products into one, which is like Compose for data warehouse and Compose for data lakes. We merged both and then combined as a Qlik Compose product in February 2021 version. So to be frank, it's a totally new product, so you can install side by side. Even you have Compose for data warehouse and data lakes, still you can install this February 2021 version side by, and then you can test the features.
Perfect. Nanda, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Suresh covered pretty much everything. Basically, I do get a lot of questions from the customers that they're a little confused even on their website to download. So now, starting from the February release, we don't call it Compose for data warehouse or data lakes. It goes as one product, which is under Qlik Compose. So the software comes with both the processes, and you can choose what you want to install. But when it comes to licensing, I think the current Compose for Data Warehouse shop can continue to use the same license. However, if you're using a Compose for Data Lakes, then you would need a separate license, and you're going to have to work with the product team to get you a new license. But it's a different product now. But when you go to the download site, yes, it is confusing. But going from February release, please look for Qlik Compose and not Qlik for Data Warehouse or Data Lake. So going forward, we are coming under with one product, which is Qlik Compose. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanda. Thank you, Suresh. We do have a blog out here about the Qlik February 2021 release as well. And I kind of touched on the fact that the nomenclature and the versioning changed a little bit, but I see that it is, confusing, and so maybe that is something that we can all take offline and maybe write a blog about it or something and help ease some of that confusion. So we'll look into that just to try to get some more information out there for you to help, and you'll have at least a reference sheet, kind of moving forward and about past releases and the future releases, because that does get a little confusing. I know we've had to have things internally like that when we've had name changes and versioning number changes. But yeah, all right, cool. All right, so the next question, what is the process for Qlik reviewing and including ideas from the ideas forum? How frequently are ideas included in the product roadmap? I'll go ahead and just take this one unless you have anything to say, Suresh.
Yeah, okay, you can take it.
Okay, so I don't know this completely, to be honest. I don't know all these specifics, just kind of what I hear during these sessions, but they do take a look at the ideas that our customers input into the ideation every 2 weeks. They go through and review those, and I believe that there is some information out there. I might have to request you, Sue. You might know exactly where it's at, and maybe can send the link out. I believe there's information about the review process already out there, but they take a look at it every 2 weeks, and they go through it and see if it's something that they can add in, and they kind of vet out everything and have discussions internally. And then they communicate through the idea life cycle with you. So they might give you a status of something like it's not something that they're looking at right now, but they're going to leave it open to get more votes and see if it's something that customers want. Or they can say that this is something that's already in the works that they're going to be releasing soon or something like that. I hope that
I will look for that. I will look for that and post it into the chat when I find it in a few minutes.
Something else I would recommend, just you might want to take a look at too, is that here under the events, let me go to events and webinars. The Qlik community does put on a roadmap session with product managers. I believe they're quarterly. Is that right, Sue?
Yes, they're quarterly. The next one we're having is for data analytics, and it is a June 3rd. So if you slide down a little bit, because that's kind of in date order, and you'll see it right there. Past it. Up.
I passed it right
Right
here.
Yep.
So you can look for these roadmap sessions, and you can always hop on those as well to learn a little bit more about the process, and as well as kind of probably get your ideas heard about what's and find out what's coming. All right, so let's go with the next question. In the latest version of Qlik Compose, do you have option to set up environment variables for SQL queries? This helps us parameterize the database schema name before migrating to production environments.
No, nothing special related to this feature. But if they want to just change database names and other stuff, they can modify it in JSON file, and then they can deploy it in production environment from dev to production. So even I observed a couple of customers following this practice when they migrate from dev to production, even within the old version. I mean, there are no enhanced features in the new product related to this.
Okay, perfect. So again, if it's something you want to see, maybe take a look at ideation, see if it's already been added as a request, or you can add the request yourself. All right, so next question. This one will actually be beneficial to me. What is the difference between Compose for data lakes and Compose for data warehouse?
Okay, so data lakes is mostly like the big data databases like Hadoop, Databricks, and Spark. We try to merge the data from all RDBMS systems to one place in the data lake. And with
Hi.
the Compose data warehouse, mostly handle related to some ETL stuff on the RDBMS databases. Like if you want to create some transformations on the RDBMS data from like SQL to SQL, and you try to create a data warehouse, then we go to use this data warehouse product. And we improved a lot in data warehouse product in like we included lots of new databases. Initially it was only the SQL, Oracle, there are a couple, but now in the new product we included big data, BigQuery. And
Yeah,
let me tell you,
Azure,
like,
Redshift,
yeah.
Snowflake, and Google BigQuery. Those are all the new ones that we added.
Did you want to share?
There's a community link as well describing differences between data warehouses and data lakes that we have.
Okay.
Can I paste that link here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
And I think, Jamie, you're still sharing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and just want to note one more thing related to data lakes. So we used to support like the Hive, Databricks, and Spark. These are the major um, things we support in data lakes, but we are going to remove the support for Spark, and we recommend customers to go with Hive completely. So they don't need to use any agent setup for data lakes.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
basically to add to that, from the design point, right? So the data warehouse is like a structured data, and in big picture, data lake is kind of both structured and unstructured. And data lakes works based out of the data storage, and data warehouse is mainly for the traditional enterprise data warehouse where we use the Oracle SQL Server or like any of those data relational database. But data lakes, when it comes to Compose for data lakes, basically we store the data files that are in on the cloud storage like S3 or Gen 2 or HDFS and things. So that's the major difference that I can think of in general from the design point.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So we have the link in the chat if anyone wants to take a look. This is the community post that Madhavi was talking about, and it goes through some of the differences here as well. So yeah, great. Thank you, everyone. And then Sue also put in the link about the product insights, the ideas, and kind of the statuses and getting started, submitting an idea, and what it all means. So if you have any questions about that, you can take a look there. Let us know if you have any more questions. We can try to get the answer for you. I apologize again, we don't have our product manager on the call today. He is unwell, but we can always follow up with him if need be. If you were on our last session, you heard Patrick kind of talk about how they do use ideation as their main tool for kind of getting clarification on what you all want in our products, and it is something that they do value a lot. And so we definitely do recommend using ideation to get your voice heard on what you would like to see it in, not just Qlik Compose, but any of our products really. All right, let's go ahead and go with the next question. Just a reminder, make sure you're using the Q&A panel to get your questions in. You have access to our SMEs here for almost 40 more minutes. 20 minutes has just flown by. So we'll go ahead and continue on with our current questions. If you have any more, just put them in the Q&A chat. All right. Does Replicate 7.0 work with Qlik Compose 6.6?
Yes,
The
I can
answer
take
is
this
yes.
question. Yes, go ahead.
No, you can
Yes,
go ahead.
the question came in. Yeah, question is like, this is Compose for data lakes. Yes, it does support Replicate 7 with Compose data lakes with 6.6. However, when it comes to Compose for data warehouse, we do have the version 7.0, which goes with the Replicate 7.0. So if the question is related to Compose for data lakes, yes, 6.6 will work with Replicate 7.0. But if you're referencing to data warehouse, it's best to use the 7 with the Replicate 7.
Okay, great. Is there a support matrix anywhere that any of you are aware of that's available?
It's usually in the release notices. We don't
Okay.
have like a quick cheat sheet kind of matrix to show it on the call here, but we can put something out on the community,
Okay.
which can help people, I guess.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so if you ever have questions about supportability, just make sure you check the release notes, it sounds like, because that information should be there as well. All right. Are there any best practices or tips for using Qlik Compose? Kind of a general question, but hopefully maybe you all have some suggestions.
I'll take this one, and maybe other people in the team can add in. So in terms of the best performance, in terms of the recommendation or the best practice, when it comes to Snowflake, for the best performance when using, Snowflake as your data source or data warehouse, we strongly recommend to install our software on the machine, which is kind of located in the same region as your database instance. This is for the best performance for Snowflake. And when it comes to Microsoft Azure SQL database or Synapse, as the data warehouse, you must locate on this, you have to put your data warehouse on the same database as the landing area, but on a different schema, obviously. So both have to be on the same database on a different schema. And when it comes to Oracle, and if you are dealing with millions of records, just make sure you have enough undo, temp, and redo table spaces. And that's major things that I can bring it to your attention, like on the performance wise. If anyone else on the team can add, that would be great.
No, that's all. And yeah,
That's all.
it based on the customer environment, because I see the customers will use tools in various ways. They create lots of customization code inside the tool. So it always based on the environment most of the times.
Definitely. So thank you. Like I said, it was kind of a general question. So thank you. If anyone has any more questions that specifically, like Nanda was saying, like about performance or anything like that, just let us know, and we can get that answered for you. Let's see. So someone's asking about the major features coming out for Compose and data lakes and data warehouses. I don't know if any of you are able to talk to that. I know that they, like you mentioned earlier, Nanda, that they did merge the two products together. Does anyone
Yes,
know anything
I
else?
can talk. Yeah, can you repeat that question again? Sorry, I
So
can see that here.
what are some of the major features coming out for Compose data lakes and data warehouses?
Okay, let's start with the Compose for data warehouse. The major enhancement, I wouldn't say it's a feature, but the enhancement that we did was relate to the ETL generate process. If your ETL has several lookups and expressions defined in your mapping, our ETL generation, ETL code generation was taking a longer time. So we did add a new feature called, you can pick and choose. Basically, you can ask for, do you want to generate with all validations or with the basic validation? So by picking the basic validation, it drastically reduces the time required to generate the ETL. And that I would think is the biggest enhancement or the feature that we added, which a lot of customers were complaining that the ETL was taking longer to generate. That's one of the major features we added. And the second one was at the data mart level. We had several customers who were asking, like, when they have to rebuild the data mart, we were kind of dropping and recreating the table. And this was kind of often resulting in the, losing of some custom properties for them. So now, starting with version 7 and with the February release, we did add a new feature, meaning you won't see it. Instead of dropping, we are kind of truncating the table, so we can preserve any custom table properties that we have. So those two were kind of the major enhancements that we added in terms of the data warehouse level and at the data mart level. And the next one is kind of a lot of our folks are using Azure Synapse Analytics as their data warehouse, and we were seeing a lot of performance issue, and that's mainly because when we were processing temporary tables or frequently used tables, we added better way to handle that. So definitely there's a lot of improvement even using Microsoft Azure Synapse database. And then, oh yeah, most importantly, we added something called audit trail report. We had several requests where customer wanted to know how can they figure out who performed the operation, when it was performed, and which object it was performed. We didn't have any kind of a auditing report on this one, but we're starting with I think we introduced in 6.1, but going with 7 and the latest version of February, we have much more options available, meaning you can configure how long you want to keep or which data you want to look at. Like, for example, I want to see what was changed in the last 2 hours. So you can kind of tailor it to a particular time frame, and you can generate the report to see basically who did this or perform the operations and when it was performed and which object it was performed. So that was really a cool feature that we added with the latest version of 7 and the February release of this year. But when it comes to data lakes, the whole architecture has changed, and I think Suresh will need to fill me in here. But yes, with the data lakes concept, we kind of started using the live views, which kind of reduces by using this, it reduces the latency. Earlier, we were going against the table, which was kind of putting a lot of security alerts for them. Now with going with the views, all we request is just a read-only access. So we are kind of going against 4 different views with the new data lake that went out in February. So basically you will have an operational data store with standard view and then an ODS with live view. I am referencing ODS instead of this operational data storage. And the next 2 set of views would be your standard views like the historic data storage and the historic data storage live views. So yeah, the major enhancement here is to go against the views as opposed to be on the table. So, and the next one I can think of data lakes is, in the Compose data lakes, when creating Compose storage zone, we added, sorry, I'm kind of going blank in here. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
Yeah, I think we added something like clearing the metadata cache, because sometimes when you add the storage zone with both storage tables and storage views, now that we are adding the views, it could give some conflicting results, it looks like. So we added to clear the view definition at the storage zone. So Suresh, if you could fill me in on this one, that I would appreciate that. I know that's one extra feature that we added in data lakes. So yeah, these are all the differences and the features that we added. And obviously with the February release, like I said, you get an option to either to choose a Compose for Data Warehouse or with Compose for Data Lakes.
Perfect. Great. Suresh, did you have
Yeah.
anything to add?
No, Nanda covered pretty much all. Yeah, the main, I mean, we call it as February version as Gen 2. So yeah, the major benefit is like in the data lakes, it will give very low latency compared with the previous one, because previous data lakes, it can only provide the data once the landing zone partition closed. But now with the new architecture, we can able to pull the data even without closing the partition on the landing zone. So I mean, people always ask for low latency, like they want to see the real-time data in data lakes. Yeah, now with the Gen 2 solution, like February 2021 version, it is possible.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. That is very exciting. And some of that was covered in the blog as well. And you can always check the release notes for more information on these new features. So great. Thank you, Nanda and Suresh. All right. So next question. What does it cover in basic validations versus all validations? Could you share any reference links or redirect to the appropriate documents link?
Okay, I don't think so. We have any documents, but for basic difference is like when you ask for all validations, it will go to storage zone and verify each and every table definition. So I mean, we observed that for few customers having 2000 tables in the project, it's going to take almost 20 minutes to 1 hour time. So they don't want to spend that much time while validating the table definition, because usually the table definition won't change very frequently until and unless customer changed something. So when they use basic validation, it just verify the metadata inside our SQLite file, and then it proceed to generate ETLs and other stuff. So it will take much less time compared with all validations.
Okay, great. And the next question, don't we have the option to choose both data lake and data warehouses for the Gen 2 version?
Yeah, Gen 2 is like, as we said, combined version, but for the same project, they cannot choose both. But in the same product, they can create two separate projects, one for data warehouse and one for data lakes. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And if you have any more questions on that, just let us know. All right, so in C4DL, what is the difference for a given table between the table itself, the live view, the standard view?
I mean, as we said, like the standard view will give only closed partition data, but live view, they can able to see even the partition not closed, they can see the data from this live view. It based, I mean, we don't recommend to use the live view until and unless they have some requirement, because like it will utilize lots of resources. So it based on their, I mean, if they run the jobs every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, they can see the data, all the data itself in the data lake, and they can able to see the data from direct queries. But if they use live queries, and it has to go to landing zone and read the data, so it's going to take time. But if they want to use this as for time being, then they can use this live view.
Good, perfect. All right, so let's see, next question. We are planning to establish disaster recovery setup for Qlik Compose on the Windows VM server. Can anyone please share documents or articles that can help us understand on disaster recovery strategy for such scenarios better? Is there any documentation out there for disaster recovery?
I think it's pretty much explained in the user guide itself,
Yeah.
how to set up a cluster and other things. So basically, even replicate or compose, it will use underlying Windows cluster environment. So nothing new. If they set up the Windows environment perfectly, then the other steps are so easy. So the only thing, like the binaries, they will install it on C drive, but the data folder, they will choose the shared drive, which is on SanDisk. So the SanDisk will be common for both the Windows servers, and then using Windows cluster feature, they can fail over from one node to another node, and always it will be up and running for them to um, run the CDC, I mean, compose jobs and other stuff. Yeah, but it's pretty easy, and it's explained in the user guide. And if customer need any help, yeah, they can always create a case for support, and they can help.
Is that on the Qlik help site for the documentation, or is it somewhere else?
It's in the user guide, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in the user guide, and basically for 7.0, they can just simply click on help, and then it will take them to the portal where they
Okay.
can see all the data.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, we used to have PDF document before 7.0, but we try to
It's the
eliminate
online
that
help.
document.
Okay. Perfect. All right, let's see. Next question. We're just burning through them again. If you have any more questions, use the Q&A panel, and we'll try to get to them. All right. Do I need to have a Hadoop cluster installed to work with Compose for data lakes?
Yes,
High
basically
access.
they have to use Hive or Databricks. I mean, it could be on-premise Hadoop cluster, or it could be Azure, Databricks, whatever they want. Yeah, they need some cluster to process this data and store this data in the data lake. Yes, they need.
Okay, gotcha. And is it, I guess I'm just asking now, for prerequisites for installation, do we know where that can be found?
It's in the user guide, Jimmy.
Okay. Okay.
Prerequisite.
Yeah, I know most, I mean, with other product, we do have something called a workbook. It's just kind of a prereq one, but unfortunately, Compose, we don't have any kind of a prereq or a separate workbook where you can fill in the prereq and then start installing it. It's only because it's mainly on a Windows box. So yeah, pretty much you got a reference to our user guide.
Just the user guide. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. As long
Yeah.
as it's out there, we just want to make sure people know where they can find that. All right. So let's see. Next question. Can you source from a Snowflake view using Qlik Compose?
Actually, I can take that. I think I just answered that question when it came to explaining the new features of Compose for Data Lake, but the answer is yes, you can. But you got to make sure you're using a version of 7 and higher in order to use those views.
Okay. Perfect.
And obviously, if you are kind of trying to see a new view and it's not showing up in your UI, we do have something called clear landing cache in the manage ETL set. And you had to clear that in case if you're not seeing the new view that you just added from the replicant. And for some reason, if it's not showing on the Compose, then you kind of have to use the clear land cache in the manage ETL set. And yeah, that will take care of the view showing up in Compose.
Okay, perfect. All right, real quick, I'm just going to show everyone kind of where everything lives as far as this FAQ will go, and the recording and everything like that. But first, we do have the forums here for Qlik Compose. We have data lakes as well as data warehouses. So if you're at community.qlik.com and you just go to forums and then data integration, you'll see Qlik Compose for data lakes and Qlik Compose for data warehouses. So these are some great resources for you all. If you have any questions ever, everyone's pretty active out here in our Qlik community. So you can always ask questions in the community forum as well and get internal responses. We do have a lot of internals that are on here, but also peer responses as well. As far as the FAQ and everything like that, so if we go here to support, we do have the support knowledge base. If you're unaware, you can use that to search for articles and things like that. But we also have the support updates blog and then support events or support programs. And if you go here to Talk to Experts Tuesday, this is where all of our sessions live. So our upcoming sessions are here under the upcoming events tab. Our next one is Talk to Experts Tuesday on Qlik End Printing, and that's March 9th. Again, 10 a.m. Eastern. And then the previous sessions can all be found here under past events. So this is something where we take the information that we have, all the questions that have come through in the session. We post the recording as well as the transcript. So you can always see, I'll just show you an example here. It'll have a link to the FAQ. So the FAQ lives in the support knowledge base. And then we have the video here as well as a downloadable transcript. So just so everyone is aware, it usually takes a few days to get that up and out. So expect it on Friday. And then I also usually write a blog about it. So you can always see that under the support updates blog. All right, so I just wanted to share that with everyone just so everyone knows where everything lives. So let's get back to the questions again. We have about 17 minutes or so. So if you have any more questions, just put them in the Q&A chat. And it looks like we have a couple more questions. So I will do probably a last call for questions. So if you have anything else that you need answered, go ahead and get it in the Q&A panel now. All right, so where are the logs for Compose for data warehouse kept?
Yeah, I guess I can speak to this one. Oh, go ahead, Madhavi.
Jamie, we have a, sorry, Nanda. So we have a nice community link, which was prepared by Ted Manka. So you can give it to the panelists, but Nanda, you can go ahead and click.
Yeah, that I know which link the link that you're saying. Yes, I put that up together with Ted. So yes, basically I was going to point to the same thing. But when it comes to the logs, typically we have it in different locations, like 5 different locations. But when a problem comes, mainly we reference like either like a server log or an agent log or like a project log. All of these logs are in the installation directory. But when it comes to asking for the logs, a lot of times customers don't have an access to go and get those. So pretty much all the logs, what we have available on the install directory is available on the UI, and you can download it. And I will show you that in a quick minute here. But bottom line is we have logs in 5 different locations. The most we reference is the server log, which comes as the Compose for Data Warehouse log. And that's where the entire logs will be put in, like every actions will be logged. And basically this log is kind of configurable. You can kind of keep it how many days you want to keep it or how big you want this file size to be. And by default, we have cleanup setup for to roll over the logs which are greater than 10 MB, or you can set it up by the number of days. And I'll show you guys in a quick minute right after this. And then then there is an ETL logs, which we kind of reference that as a project log. And again, those all under each project name. And I will show you shortly. And the logs at the ETL log level are set up in info, debug, and our trace level. However, the server logs, we always kind of reference at the info, trace, and verbose. I know this is a lot of wording here, but I'll definitely share it in a minute here. And then comes the next one is the agent log. Basically, agent log captures all the Java. It's basically a Java process that executes the ETL task. So anything that goes with the ETL task will be saved in the agent log. And again, the log level goes as trace and verbose and info here. And by default, we have it at info. When there's an issue, we ask you to raise it to verbose or to the trace. And then comes the next set of log is the data warehouse and data mart log. And again, those are saved under Java folder. And then the last one, and it's a new one, which got introduced in version 6.1, is the audit trail log. Like I said, I mentioned before, this is something new that you can see going forward from version 6.1 and higher. That being said, let me just share my screen real quick here so you can see where each of these logs are stored. 1 second. Let me see, share screen here. You guys able to see my screen?
It's not up yet. There is a share button after you select the screen. Oh,
There you
it's
go.
coming up.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Perfect. All right, sorry. Okay, give me 1 second. All right, so here comes this is from a version 7.1, and I do have another window that I can share. Oh, sorry, this one is the new one. Give me 1 second here, there you go. Basically, all the we have a log management right here. Any logs that you want to see, you can pretty much go from here. The log management will, here is the setting where you can specify. The server log is basically the compose log, and you do have certain component here. At times we may ask you to just raise this compose to verbose based on a particular issue. We at times ask you to send certain component to server log or data mart or data warehouse. So at that point, you just raise this bar to the trace level or to the verbose level. Same goes with the agent log. We have different settings here. And all of these logs are managed with the log setting. Like I said, by default, we have it set it for 10 MB, and the delete log files, whichever comes first, it will be handled here with the log setting. So in theory, you can access all of these logs from the installation folder. By default, that goes under program files. And obviously with 7, you're not seeing Opportunity. You will be seeing Qlik as the for installation folder, but with the 7.1, I'm referencing 7.1. So I'm going to show you with the data Opportunity folder. So yes, here are the main logs for the compose. For this is that we reference this as server log. And then this is where you find, this is the most important log that we normally ask for if there is an issue. So the compose server log is located under the installation directory from data and then logs. And then all the project logs goes under the data directory. You have projects folder. And here you will have each and every project will have a set of logs. So for example, in my case, I'm going to take one of my project. And if you look at the project logs, you will have the ETL logs and the workflow logs. And obviously, if you cannot access directory to this folder, I can go in here and then under the monitor button, you can go to any particular, for example, if I want to use work or data mart log, let's see if you want to see the data mart log. So you go to the history here, and then you can select the whatever the instance that you're looking for, and you can do a view log here, and you can download it from here. So most time, like I said, people have trouble accessing the folder because they don't have permission to access it. So you can always download any log we request from the UI. When it comes to the latest version, obviously this goes under a different folder under Qlik, not with Affinity anymore. And this is how the 7 would look like. It's the same structure, actually. There is no difference. So, and the last one that the new, sorry, I forgot to mention, the new log that we added in the version 7 and higher was the audit trail log. It's right here. And then here you can pretty much specify how far back you want to go. So you can go by the hour or by the day. By default, we keep it for 2 weeks. Anything beyond that will not be in the system. But if you want to save those, again, it's a configurable parameter. You can set it up however longer you want to keep it. And that's all I have here for sharing. Thank
Great.
you.
That was, thank you for sharing that. That was really helpful. And I really like the wizard that Qlik Compose has for the log management. That's really cool. All right, so next question. So while creating relationships in Manage Model, when would we not select Replace Existing Attributes on the Add Relationship screen? How is the relationship created when not explicitly selecting the attribute on the associated entity that also replaces the attribute? Oh, Suresh, I think you're muted if you're trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
There
I'm
you are.
not sure. So I have to review this question and
Okay.
answer it.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So we'll take this one offline and it'll be in the FAQ. So we'll make sure we get it answered for the FAQ. And again, the FAQ, we usually have it posted by Friday. And so if you just search on the Qlik community, you can just search FAQ, and honestly, it pulls up all the FAQs from the Talk to Experts Tuesday sessions, or you can search Qlik Compose FAQ, and it'll probably show up at the top then there. All right, so last question. We just have a few more minutes. So if anyone has any other questions, go ahead and get them in. Last question, how can I run multiple data mart post-landing ETL in parallel?
Right now, if they want to add as a post loading ETL, it will run in a serial manner, not in parallel, because we generate one ETL document for that data mart, including the post ETL. So it will be like step by step. So once they add post loading ETLs, then it will be run one after another. And yeah, there is a workaround if they want to run it as a parallel. So we have another option like command scripts. I have to check. So Nanda, is that command script or something, right? Yeah, they can create that command command script, and they can place this post loading ETL. I mean, if they have suppose 4 post loading ETLs, then they need to create 4 command scripts, and then when creating the workflow, they have to add data mart first, and then create a parallel task, parallel split, and then add these 4 command scripts, and then they can finish with the ending step. So in this case, it will run the data mart first and then run all 4 ETLs parallelly, and then it will finish the data mart step. Yeah, that's the workaround. Yeah, still, if they want something direct in the direct way, they can create community
Ideation.
portal request ideation. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. The current product only supports the post-load ETL serially in Compose, but not parallelly.
Great. All right, so I think that is it. That was the last question. Like I said, if you have any more questions, go ahead and get them in. We'll put them in the FAQ. So I hope everyone found this hour helpful. it looks like we got to all the questions, but again, they'll be posted in the FAQ. It'll be posted in the support knowledge base, and there will be a blog as well. And then everything goes under the Talk to Experts Tuesday support program. Kind of a mouthful, but everything can be found there. So you can, you will be prompted for a survey after this session. We do appreciate any and all feedback. You also have the ability to give a shout out to any of our amazing panelists. So they are rewarded on those surveys as well. So please just take a minute to fill it out. It doesn't take more than a minute, and it also gives you an opportunity to let us know what other kind of sessions you want to see. So we'd love to hear that kind of feedback. If you're not prompted, again, you can email us at digital@qlik.com. I went ahead and put the email address in the chat there. And don't forget to sign up for our next session. So that's on Qlik End Printing, and that's March 9th. And so thank you to all of my panelists, Madhavi, Nanda, and Suresh. And we will see you in a couple weeks. On behalf of Qlik support and Qlik community, have a wonderful day. Bye, all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.